Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Sorry we're getting started a little bit late. We've got a live stream happening around the world. We've had approximately 1,000 registrations for that, and we've got a climate change rally happening in downtown. So we're hearing from a couple of our guests that it's been a little bit tough to get in today. So thank you so much for bearing with us. We are getting started, and we've got a lot of content to get through today. My name's Blake Hutchison. I'm the CEO at Flippa.com. And over the last 12 months, we've seen over 50,000 websites and online businesses list on Flippa.com. We've had, in the same time, over 60,000 buyers registered our interest, and so clearly this is a fairly dynamic space. We're obviously not the only ones in the space, and it's a really, really fast-growing alternative asset class that is benefiting sellers of these fantastic websites and online businesses around the world as much as it is those people who are buyers. Guys, can we get back a slide or two, please? Or can I have a clicker? Thank you. Alrighty, we are going to cover a lot of content today, and I think you will get a lot out of it. Firstly and foremost, what we find is that with all of these with this growth in this space, with website business owners doing more than they've ever done before, getting started on things like Shopify and BigCommerce, using amazing platforms like Xero and HubSpot to run their businesses, using payment providers like Payoneer, Stripe and PayPal, there's never been a better time to start a business. There's never been an easier time to grow a business. And with that, almost every website or online business, as long as it's been run well, has some value. Secondly, there's lots of buyers, so it's an amazing opportunity for sellers in the marketplace today. And finally, content is absolutely king. Those who merchandise their online business the best tend to sell. Regardless of whether it is, in fact, the best business up against their peers, those who are good at merchandising tend to have success wooing buyers to our platform and certainly many others out there. So I'm going to cover a couple of things and then we'll get started with a seller panel. The first thing I want to show you guys is some buyer insights. We'll then get through a couple of case studies so you can get a feel of what actually does sell and what does not sell. And then thirdly, I should say, a couple of key announcements. So what we did a couple of weeks ago was we surveyed over 2,500 people. We had 600 responses. And we are able to share with you guys today some fantastic insights. I think you'll get a lot out of these. So firstly, there's obviously publishers all over the world, and those publishers in M&A space aren't necessarily having as much luck today as some of the great technology businesses of our time. That's a little bit different in small business land. In fact, advertising or content-based websites are absolutely hot. As you can see there, 51% of the buyers that responded to the Flippa buyer survey were actually looking for ad and content websites. Now, of course, someone can sell a SaaS business, a marketplace business, and certainly e-commerce is very popular. But 51% is high, and so we encourage a lot more growth in this space, and certainly from a buyer side standpoint, it's super competitive. Now, there's some obvious points as to why. Firstly, it's less intensive to run. You can either publish the content yourself, you can get contributors to publish that content, and therefore it's less likely to suffer from seasonal shifts, and ultimately you can plug in more revenue channels, be it a ClickBank, be it an affiliate channel, or be it AdSense revenue. And so this buyer insight has led us to start to think about how we can woo more content businesses to our platform. And certainly from a buy-side standpoint, there's lots of competition. Number two, we found this super interesting. Most sellers, it's their first time experience selling. However, most buyers have done it time and time again. In fact, as you can see there, 55% of the buyers that we surveyed already have 3 or more websites or online businesses in their own portfolio. And so that creates some complexity. certainly in a marketplace environment like Flippa, but in any business sales environment. Buyers are experienced, sellers are not. They're used to a sophisticated negotiation, whereas a seller might not ever heard of something like a seller financing or an earn-out, or something that's a little more complex and foreign to them. These buyers, they're driven by value. They are absolutely in the market to acquire a portfolio of websites and use that to grow and run. They are sophisticated, they are investors. I'm sure there's a few on the live stream and certainly in the audience today. Number 3, this is a hugely active space. 61% of the buyers surveyed are in the market to acquire within the next 12 months. And they are ready to go now. And so what we're finding is the average buyer on Flippa inquires on 5 or more listings. So they are hot and furious, and right now if you have something to sell, there's never been a better time to do it. Buyer registration is at record highs. Last month on Flippa, 6,500 new buyers registered with an average budget of $224,000. So people are ready to go. Number 4, flexibility and knowledge in deal structuring is becoming more and more important. And so it's less likely that as the value of websites and online businesses increase, you're going to see cash deals. In fact, it's more likely that they're done on alternative structures. And so 15% of the buyers we surveyed want to acquire on seller financing terms, or a combination of cash plus seller financing. So seller financing is obviously where the seller takes some risk. The seller is essentially the bank in the process, and the buyer is paying the seller a down payment for the business as well as an ongoing fee until the full acquisition of that business has taken place. Now, most sellers have never even heard of seller financing, so there's a lot of education to go on in the market. Now, why do they do that? You can see there it tends to de-risk the purchase for the seller, for the buyer, I should say. It gives them access to bigger deals from a cash flow standpoint, and so that's hugely insightful. Last insight. This is quite interesting in the sense that what we know is that most people who are acquiring a business are doing so to grow it. So there's a 50-50 split, personal acquisition versus big business acquisition, but regardless, most people are looking for something that is not fully realised. So a lot of the time we'll see sellers pitch their business to the marketplace as, this is fantastic, this is a business in a box. All you have to do is acquire it, and it will essentially run itself. Well, in fact, 78% are looking for something that is underperforming with good or lots of opportunity for growth. So there was an example on Flippa, relatively small transaction size, around the $50,000 mark, but the business had 3,000 customers using a watermarking software, so it was designed for photographers. Now, that person was charging photographers a one-time fee of $15, not per month, not per annum, a one-time perpetual fee of $15. Now, savvy buyers looked at that and said, well, how great is this? I can turn all of these customers who absolutely love this product, who are using it, have a need, and I can probably turn this into a SaaS business pretty easily. And so they're looking for things where there's opportunity, looking for things where they are underperforming and they can apply their subject matter expertise. Alrighty, very quickly, that was the one I just spoke about. So sold for 3 times annual net profit, and it's sold, as we just spoke about, for the reasons that I talked about. Unrealised potential, it did have consistent revenue, but there was opportunity there, and it was quite unique. Let's quickly move on. All right, translate.com, incredible. Not only a great domain name, but it's a high-performance website. There's lots of people using it to translate stuff. And so look at those stats down the bottom. Look at the demand from buyers. There were 38,000 buyer views. There were 659 people who decided to watch it, which means they received status updates as that listing progresses through the negotiation stage. And then ultimately there were 33 bidders. So why did it sell for 2.4 times annual net profit? It sold because clearly it had a fantastic organic search presence. Lots of people going there. It has age. Buyers are not looking for things under 12 months old. They're looking for things that are minimum 3 years old and preferably 5+. And it has growth potential. The user experience wasn't well optimized. They hadn't built some of their commercial opportunities into the platform. And so the acquirers out of the Ukraine, if you check out translate.com now and then use some way back technology, you'll see that translate.com has taken on a very different form. Probably the other thing I'll quickly mention is most sellers overvalue their business. This is a fantastic business. It didn't sell for 3.5 times. You're not getting M&A type multiples in online business land at the small business level. And when I say small business level, I'm talking up to sort of $5 million territory. You tend to be getting sort of 1.5, depending on the business model, of course. You tend to be getting 1.5s to 3.5s max. And certainly we've got some speakers today who will talk about their experience in that context. Last case study. DogBiz Pro, as I said, not a huge multiple, but it's sold, and it's sold because it tackles a niche. Buyers love niches. Buyers hate hyper-competitive markets. So we see lots of businesses that are e-commerce businesses in the fashion landscape. The problem is how competitive that space is. And so most savvy buyers are looking for something in a niche. In this particular case, it was for dog walkers and for people who run pet schools and dog training, things like that. Sold for 1.6 times annual net profit. It's a great business in the sense that it's got some age, 2011. It's a SaaS business which everyone loves for its annuity and recurring revenue stream. And ultimately, it's not perfect. It's got good bones, but it's got lots of growth potential. Alrighty, a couple of things. Today is not about Flippa. It's about wonderful speakers who have incredible insight, years of experience doing what they do best, and they're going to take that experience and give it to you. But I am going to steal 5 minutes and talk about a couple of announcements. So firstly, Flippa is a marketplace connecting buyers and sellers who want to acquire digital assets. Those digital assets are typically websites, online businesses, or apps. Flippa is now providing an opportunity for people who own hybrid businesses. So those are not brick and mortar businesses, but they are businesses that operate both offline and online. Flippa Plus, it's quite simply for those businesses which want to go through a slightly higher level of verification, priced between $200,000 and $5 million. They'll be matched with a member of our team and they'll go through a 25-point check. And then tech. So what we've seen on Flippa is people don't necessarily always have revenue generating websites or online businesses, but they have some fantastic tech and they want a place to sell that tech. So we've started to see that come through the platform, so we've given them their own space.
Could you repeat that first one for a second?
Yes. Hybrid? Yep. So Flippa is not a marketplace for the butcher or the plumber or for a builder. It is specifically orientated to digital and tech. However, we are starting to see manufacturers who own their own product, and they typically haven't been able to position themselves on the Flippa platform. Now they can do so. We've seen some people who sell at fairs or farmers markets, but the predominant business model for them is online. And so now they actually have a way of merchandising that product in the Flippa environment. Alrighty. Human Proof Designs and Alpha Investors, both fantastic companies. In fact, we'll have Brian from Human Proof Designs up here a little later on. Now, Flippa is obviously a marketplace, so we stretch from literally a $500 transaction all the way up to a $5 million transaction. Now, with the support of Human Proof and Alpha, we're now able to bring some outstanding quality business-in-a-box websites to the marketplace for people to acquire. So we'll be sending some details out about that, and we'll hear a little bit from Brian up on stage in a couple of moments' time. And then finally, we're about to integrate with our friends at SEMrush. And what that means is, along with our integrations via Google Analytics, some of the work we're going to be doing with some of the cloud accounting software sources, buyers will be able to get one-click verification of the performance of a website via our partners at SEMrush. That will come in two forms. One, you'll be able to see some core details on the platform, and two, you'll be able to inquire for a full and unbridled report published by SEMrush in conjunction with Flippa, all about the website that you're inquiring on. Alrighty, let's get started. Can I invite our three sellers up onto the stage, please?